Recently, EA put a bunch of old games onto Steam and had a big sale on their old games too, and I thought, wow, Mirror's Edge for only 2.99 euros would be fun to finally replay it again. So I bought it and it didn't even crash, it just never allowed itself to be started regardless of what I did. I tried basically any fix I could find and nothing helped, so I said, yep, time to refound it and play my PlayStation 3 copy. So it's only 30 FPS and you can see tons of jaggies in the gameplay capture instead of nice, smooth edges, but life is full of rough edges that we get confronted by daily. It's all part of the experience, just like how PC ports in the 360 and PlayStation 3 era were absolute filth. If you never played the Dark Souls version for PC with games for Windows Live, can you even call yourself a true Dark Souls fan? I'm also surprised how they never even ported this game yet for any other consoles. They wouldn't even need to make a true remaster, just brush the game up a bit here and there and release it. Let's get the most useless thing from the game right out of the way, the story, your faith and your career. Is it a Fallout New Vegas reference? In a dystopian hellscape of a city. You know, sometimes I wish big cities were as clean as this one, except for the fact there's tons of rats running around. But this one is in a cage, and it's really cute. Rats are actually always really cute, and I forgive them for the Black Death. Apparently, there's also pretty much no crime, if we ignore the corrupt politicians since they got total control over the media and the city and silence anyone speaking out about it. Gonna be honest, I wish I would live here because nowadays it's literally the same thing anyways with corrupt and lying politicians, but the cities are also dirty as hell and there's tons of crime, so you don't get any of the good things. But as Korea, it's your job to actually show everyone how bad it actually is to live in a city where you have less rights than usually. How? By jumping and running above the roofs, or also the streets. And that's the gameplay of the game, parkour. The story is just nothing really special, but the cutscenes have this kinda cool cartoon style at least. Your main way to play the game is with your feet. Nowadays I feel a bit dirty talking about feet because people will take it the wrong way and assume the worst. This is why king shaming is important sometimes because we let the people who are into feet get way too comfortable, so they're everywhere now, always talking about feet. The game is really simple to get into but hard to master when you really want to get the most out of it, despite it still keeping it simple even then with its controls. Most of the time you will only require two trigger buttons, L1 or L2, because L1 is for jumping or putting yourself up on ledges and L2 is for rolling after jump, crouching, sliding, crawling, etc. R1 is for fast turning around, which gets really important when you want to take many of these shortcuts, and R2 is for banging doors open mostly. Some of the other buttons obviously also play a role, but I will talk about those later. So now you get to run, and one thing you will notice is the colors of the game. It's really clean and white, but there are many objects that will make you spot them because they are marked in red. A big discussion recently is the use of yellow paint in video games. For people who don't know it, here's a little screenshot of a tweet that went viral, and there's tons of those. Basically, it's people getting a bit annoyed at yellow paint being used to show you that you can interact with the thing covered in it, because it makes you think the game is treating you like a baby, and it also just looks dumb and not fitting most of the time. There's like a million other ways to show you that you can interact with a specific thing than just lazily putting some paint on it that doesn't even make sense. Whoopsie, I clumsily dropped my yellow can of paint everywhere I guess, especially on these ledges that you can grab on, but never actually spilled anything on the ledges that you can't climb on. What a coincidence. The easiest solution to that? Give me the option to turn it off or on. That's how easy it is. I love having options, or at least make it fitting for the game's world. Just like how it's possible here in Mirror's Edge, it has the runner's vision, and if you got it turned on, it shows you objects that lead you to a destination in red. Doesn't always mean it's the best way to take though. On my replay I just turned it off because I wanted to experience the game in a different way than I did all those years ago, and to be honest, I felt it was for the better. Sometimes I just love getting stuck because I couldn't really find the way to go, which mostly happened in tight buildings instead of in the outside world, because on the roofs it always makes you feel like you got many ways, while in tight buildings you always have a specific one, which can be reached through different means though. With the runner's vision on, it obviously flows better, but it takes a bit away from the puzzle aspect of finding the way. On your first playthrough, you might also not even play it the correct way. That's the best I can put it. Obviously, in one way, every way that gets you to the end of the game is the correct way, and there's no true correct way, but as an example, let's take these stairs. In your first normal playthrough, you will most likely just run up the stairs, or maybe you're a genius and you already found out you can climb to the left here and jump over the rails and do a wall one jump up to the other rail. Most likely you won't do it though. I didn't either, but then after beating the game I went into the time trials in race mode, and damn, it really makes you feel like you completely played the game like a total beginner on your normal playthrough. It used the normal levels of the game to make you run through checkpoints, and getting the best time to get 3 stars on every stage is absolutely insane. If you go onto YouTube and look up the most optimal ways, which is pretty lame to do, figuring out the best way and trying out different paths is like 50% of the fun. You will get fooled at how easy those people make it look. It's not easy at all. Also, it's absolutely addicting. I had to whip myself away from my PlayStation 3 to not spend too much time grinding for 3 stars on every stage, which will probably take me a fairly long time to do, but I really want to do it for the trophies, which I can't even brag about because nobody really takes them seriously, except other trophy hunters. That's like getting praised by your own parents and nobody else. It can still kind of feel good though. It feels like the story mode is just there to kinda ease you into the game so you understand the basics like what jump is possible, getting used to the controls and all the normal stuff, so when you beat the game you're hooked onto it and jump straight into trying to speedrun it and get your fix of 2 speed. Don't take actual speed though, please. The time trials just show you how perfectly the levels are also made. There's almost always multiple ways you can take, and like I said earlier, while you play the game normally, you won't maybe even get to really appreciate it, how they're structured, because you're gonna be under the pressure from getting chased, so any way for you is going to be the best way, as long as you don't get shot. If you get all the time in the world to check what is possible and what isn't, it gives you such a rush trying to chain everything together that you have learned, and every time you even make the tiniest mistake, you just restart to get it perfectly now in the next try. This makes it sound like it's not a great game for when you're an one and done kind of person, but even then it's a great experience. It may have a fairly short length with around 4 to 5 to 6 hours, but that's what makes it so good. It does not stretch like bubblegum at any single point and never gets boring doing it. There's also so many cool set pieces like running through a mall or a subway station and makes you jump onto trains. Despite most locations maybe looking a bit samey since everything is just so clean, it doesn't feel samey at all. And the game is dirt cheap nowadays, so it doesn't even matter that it's maybe a bit short if you don't engage with any of the time stuff. It came out during the great debate of are people really gonna buy short single player games without a tag on multiplayer, where everything needed to get a multiplayer because publishers thought nobody wants a short experience at a full price. Another thing every game needed during that time obviously was combat and shooting guns. Boom boom bang. Every game needs to be Call of Duty. One of the biggest flaws the game has for people is the combat, and I personally don't mind it at all. It adds the extra tension I want from it, at least in the story mode, trying to find a way to escape as fast as possible before the police comes into the building or having to change the route quickly when you see them coming towards you. You gotta adapt, and it feels pretty neat to escape on your first try. The two most important buttons here for you to use are most likely gonna be the square button and the triangle button. With the square button you go Matrix mode, and it makes it easier to disarm enemies with the triangle button because you can get close to them and they will try to hit you with the gun, which makes it go blink red. If you now press the button, it will disarm them and gives you their weapon, which you can then use or discard. If you just want to beat up people, you can punch them or jump kick them. Unless they're one big hacking meanie that can't really be punched, so you gotta disarm them. It's just so satisfying to be allowed to pick how you handle these situations. You can just come up with a route without ever engaging the enemies unless it's in a tiny hallway, and even then most of the time, the game lets you get around them without ever having to punch them. Sadly, the game does have a few sections where it's mandatory to clear out the enemies, which is kinda sad. You can just jump kick them though, which I love doing. Kicks are really underrated in video games with how fun they can be. It makes me want to go out and run around trying to do cool jump kicks. Obviously not hitting anyone, maybe kicking a tree or something, but that would most likely hurt my feet and they're really small and delicate and I still need them to walk, so I guess it would be dumb to do. Same with punching a wall, unless you're American. It blows my mind how most Americans can just punch the wall and there's gonna be a hole in it. If you tried that here in Europe, you would have to go to the doctor with a broken hand. The moral of the story is don't punch anything, except maybe the dough when you bake something. I didn't shoot a single time or kill a single person except for kicking someone off a ledge, whoopsie, in my playthrough because in my own personal opinion, I think that killing is bad, depending on who you kill. Sometimes it can be pretty okay if a person deserved it. Do these super duper guys with tons of armor and a huge gun deserve to die because they shoot at a weaponless girlie who has to defend herself with just her fists or feet or by running away while they protect the status quo of the city being ruled by rich assholes that pay them probably a really low salary despite having such a dangerous job? Hard question. Let's ask an easy one instead. Do these mall cops deserve to be killed? Not in my opinion. So knocking them out only is the only right way to handle them for me. In the end, you got all the choices you would want though. Some people will say, heck it, I will mow them down with a gun. Others will also try to do a pacifist one, and others will just do a mix of both if they're tired of always just running away. The game does not punish you for any of your choices, with the exception of the very last room in the game. Having to do that without shooting a single time at an enemy is terrible. A bunch of normal soldiers and then a big armor dude right in the middle that is hard to not get shot at from. Sure, he doesn't really move from his spot, but that just makes it harder. When you want towards him to disarm him and knock him out, it feels like poor luck if I reach him before I take too many shots. If you allow yourself to shoot him though, probably not that hard. Trophies like never being allowed to kill anyone scare me. What if that one guy I kicked off a ledge actually counted as killing him with a gun because of bad programming or something like that? But nope, I got the delicious Test of Faith trophy at the end, which is actually pretty easy, even on the normal difficulty that I played it on. There's also no frustration because the checkpoints are given to you so nicely. For some reason, I had the checkpoints completely different in my memory, and thought dying would mean I would have to play through huge chunks of a chapter again, but that wasn't the case. Especially in the sewer section of the game, I completely misremembered how forgiving the game actually is. Look at this part. Honestly, I don't even know what I did, but I think I jumped backwards for whatever reason and thought, oh, well, gotta get up again the whole way, which wouldn't have taken long either, but instead it just put me right back to the last possible jump I could have failed. And that happens a lot. You never lose tons of time whenever you die because the game is really nice to you. Yay, I like it when people are nice, or games, or anything really. Because of these really forgiving checkpoints, it also allows you to try to mess with it. There's no losing and failure here, which tells you, hey, you, go wild. We want you to experiment, try to find some cool ways, even if you keep dying over and over. A jump that looks impossible, why not try going for it anyways and see what happens, since you're not going to lose anything from it. I don't think a single person could ever get frustrated in this game, even if they die over and over. Checkpoints are the real MVP sometimes. They're the reason why hard games such as Celeste can be beaten by anyone if they don't give up easily. You never lose any big progress, but sometimes you may play an old retro game that is hard, and whenever you run out of continues, it's all the way back to the start. That is frustrating and a bit demotivating if you don't have tons of time as an adult nowadays because you have a job, and kids maybe. And if you think that makes it too easy, just restart each chapter whenever you die, boom, make up your own difficulty and challenges. Another thing that's just amazing about the game are the graphics. Yes, despite the 30 FPS that I had to play it on. Let's take a scale from how well things can age. At the absolute bottom would be the orange juice you took to school with you on the last day before the summer holidays and forgetting to drink it, so now one day before school starts again, you check your backpack to find it and there's tons of mold swimming inside of it, and opening it up to get rid of it sounds and feels like a gas explosion. And then at the top we would have Wind Waker. Nobody would ever take offense if I said it aged just as fine as Wind Waker did. It's a timeless looking game that will never ever look bad, especially compared with other games during that console generation. I just love how the colors just pop into your face, which makes it look so special. During that era of games you were used to blue and grey and brown colors mostly and trying to be dark, but here it's the complete opposite. It's white, it's bright, it's pure white. I had to look up a word that rhymes with bright, and that's the best one I found because it means skilled, which the people who worked on the art direction certainly were. The game is like when your parents are out and you're all alone at home, so you have a great time messing every single room up, and then you get a phone call from your mom that they're on their way back, so you quickly clean everything up as perfectly as you can to earn extra good boy or girl points, and every piece of furniture is just perfectly cleaned and shines like a diamond. Even though diamonds don't actually shine, they just reflect the light. Shame on you, Pink Floyd, for lying to people. Talking about music, the music of this game is also pretty neat. It's not something I would listen to outside of the game, but it has a nice OST anyways that just fits it. Whenever it comes to music, when I talk about games, I really can't add that much more to it. I have no idea how to make music. For me it either sounds good or not so good. There's some nice ambient music here and there, whenever you get a little bit of room to breathe, some intense music whenever you get chased, and like I said, it just always fits the mood. Obviously the track that sticks with people the most is probably Still Alive, a song that plays when you beat the game. Really beautiful song, even though I do prefer Portal Still Alive. I just really get turned on by Gladys' voice, I can't help it. In my eyes, the game just has no real flaws that really make me think, damn, this is a stupid design decision. Nothing in the game actually bothers me, and I'm gonna be honest, even games that have flaws to me can be perfect in my opinion. There will always be people out there who say no game will ever be a 10 out of 10 because in their eyes it means a game has no flaws, but I respectfully disagree with that. Even a flawed thing can be perfect. That's what I would say about my wife if I had one, except that I wouldn't call my wife a thing, obviously. Now, I could just do an endless talking section about if anything can ever really be perfect. Yes, if you call something perfect, then it's perfect for you. That's it. You can't refute it. If I say I think it's perfect, you can't just say, no, that's not perfect. It is for me. It's not a statement that is factually wrong. If I said 2 plus 2 is not 4, then you could tell me I'm dumb, because I would be. Life is just that simple sometimes. Not everything has to have a deeper meaning behind its words. At least not to me. If you enjoy endlessly talking about the point and meaning of life, then go right ahead. And isn't it pretty smart to use big words on the internet nowadays? If I say it's a great game, then people would go, yeah, this guy got a point. It is a great game. But if I say it's a perfect game, I allow people to think, wow, that's a loaded statement. I gotta see why this person thinks it's perfect. And then I can even call him out in the comments if I disagree with his take that the game is perfect. That's why people love to use big words with a strong meaning, because it attracts people to disagree with them. In the end, it's all just common sense though anyways, and even can make people go away. I personally don't like it when videos have titles like, this insert thing here changed everything and stuff like that. I don't even want to click on that. So maybe someone sees this, oh, this game is perfect. No, I disagree without even watching it, because it can't be perfect anyway, so I'm not gonna watch your video. But you know, that's not the point of the video. With that said, I hope you're gonna have yourself a good day, or maybe a beautiful night if you're going to bed soon, whatever your time zone tells you to do. Time zones can be a bit of a pain in the butt though. I hate waking up early, because then all my American friends are asleep and I have no one to talk to, because all my European friends are at work. Kinda sucks.